Guys, I've sat here in front of this camera countless times to tell you about groups of players who claim they've been lied to, who say they've been stolen from, who allege that they've been taken advantage of by someone looking to make a quick buck in esports. But today is a little different. Today, I want to tell you about a group of players who say they were in as bad a situation as you can imagine, who lawyered up, handled their business, and got a legal resolution. Alright guys, before we get on with the rest of the video, I want to say if you haven't subscribed to theScore Esports yet, what are you waiting for? By subscribing to the channel on this video, you let us know that you want more investigative reports like this one. So go ahead and click that bell. Now let me ask you this. What would you do if you were an esports player and you thought your org was withholding prize money and salary? If you thought they were lying to you, even defrauding you? If, when you tried to confront the owner, he apparently withdrew every cent from company bank accounts, deactivated his email, and disappeared? Well, a group of former players for esports team Naventic allege that's exactly what happened to them. And their answer was to sue the owner of the org. In August of 2018, 5 of them filed a legal complaint against the owner and the org, suing him for $55,000 in unpaid prize money and salary, plus damages. By January of this year, the case was settled out of court, and the players were reading an apology from the former owner, a guy called Jimmy Ross Elliott II. I've talked to some of the players, I've talked to their lawyer, and I've read all the legal documents. And I've never quite covered a story like this one. It all starts in 2016 when Zuna, Big Impact, B-Kid, Tomster, and Kenma signed with Naventic's Heroes of the Storm roster. You remember Heroes of the Storm, right? Blizzard's MOBA? Shout out to all my Johanna mains. Now, according to the lawsuit, these guys signed contracts that guaranteed them $1,250 a month in salary, plus most of the prize money they earned. As with most of the esports contracts that I've seen, these ones stipulate that the money goes to the org first and then the org distributes it amongst the players within no more than 10 days of receiving it. DreamHack Summer 2016 rolls around, and in June the team placed 5th-6th at the Heroes of the Storm tournament and net themselves $37,500 in prize money.
E-Star, the second team to move on out of this group, eliminating Team Naventic, and along with them, the North American host.
It's 6 months later, in December, when DreamHack pays out Naventic the prize money the players earned. The problem? The players say they never got it. The owner, the guy I mentioned earlier, Jimmy Elliott, apparently told the players that it was DreamHack that never paid out Naventic, and therefore there was no prize money to distribute. So they continued on and kept playing, competing in Phase 1 of the 2017 Heroes of the Storm Global Championship. But in April of 2017, according to the lawsuit, the players find out that DreamHack definitely did pay out that money.
I believe we were at the, I forget what it's called, but like at the beginning of the season, usually like they fly out all the people and they do like media training stuff. And we were there, since we're at Blizzard headquarters or whatever, the Blizzard people were there. I was just like, yo, our team has apparently never been paid, and everyone else is there. Like the European teams are there, and they're like, we've all been paid. So I was like, something's wrong for sure. So I was like, who do I got to talk to actually figure this out? And they're like, we'll definitely get to it. And then that's when we finally figured out that we've been paid.
The players confront Elliott, and he allegedly tells them he'll pay them back the prize money plus some back salary that he owes them. At this point, he not only owes the players the DreamHack money, but apparently tens of thousands of dollars in unpaid salary as well. It's at this point that Elliott allegedly breaks out a set of excuses that I've encountered in pretty much every single one of these cases. We're talking bank errors, money transfer issues, PayPal fuck-ups, a set of miraculous reasons why esports teams claim they can't pay their players the money they're owed. You want some more deja vu? Well, stop me if you've heard this one before. According to the lawsuit, Elliott allegedly withdraws all of the money from the Naventic corporate bank accounts and disappears. According to the players, he ceases all communications. He won't answer Twitter DMs, Skype calls, he's deactivated his email address, he's completely ghosted them. Incredibly, at this point, the players and the staff at Naventic stick together and they keep grinding, despite the shitstorm that's raging around them. But eventually, in August of 2017, well over a year after playing in the DreamHack Summer event, the players terminate their contracts and leave the org. 1 year later, after having to hire a private detective to track down the former owner of the org, and after 14 attempts to serve him with the legal papers, the 5 former members of the team file their lawsuit.
I know what they did is illegal, but I don't know like how it's going to be like punished or like how we're going to get repaid and stuff like that. So like I just know it's like all I could do is go to a lawyer and they could tell me my options and stuff like that and like my best chances of winning and stuff. And like I know it's completely out of my field. So like, you know, talking to the lawyers and like learning like what they can do and like all this stuff, and like more than anything, I just want to know what happened to it and like how if someone could steal all that money, just be like totally fine, be like rip, you know, just in that sense.
We didn't just dive into the lawsuit itself. There were, you know, in the interim demand letters sent, and also even, you know, private investigators that had to be hired to locate ownership. You know, unfortunately, as with many sports organizations, there were many individuals that claimed to be owners that seemed like they weren't actually owners or couldn't produce any sort of documentation that they were owners. So there was a lot of legwork that we had to do, and we tried to resolve this, of course, without ever even pursuing litigation. But nonetheless, it just didn't shake out that way, so we had to escalate.
And according to that lawsuit, the former owner's business practices were very problematic from the get-go. For starters, the lawsuit alleges that Jimmy Elliott, that's the former owner, remember, lied to the state of Arkansas about who was actually in control of Naventic. It also alleges that he failed to maintain proper banking and accounting records, and that because of that, Naventic was, quote, grossly undercapitalized to meet its obligations, end quote. It also alleges that he used Naventic company money for personal expenses, that he failed to pay the proper business taxes in the state of Arkansas, and that the state consequently revoked his limited liability corporation status. Now, for Jimmy Elliott's part, in January of 2019, he does issue a formal response to the legal complaint, but there's not much to it. Suffice to say, it is the usual legal equivalent of no you. 1 year after that, in January of 2020, right before this case is scheduled to go to court, the former owner Jimmy Elliott and the 5 players reach a settlement. Now, because of the way these things work, the details of the settlement are private. Neither the lawyer, nor the players, nor Elliott are legally allowed to divulge who got what and how. But we do know one thing. As part of the settlement, Elliott had to issue a public apology, and it reads as follows. My involvement with Naventic LLC, both as a member and as unpaid CEO, was challenging. Regardless of my efforts to assist Naventic LLC become a successful esports organization, desired results were not obtained. Such resulted in a negative impact on people's lives, including Zuna, Kenma, B-Kid, Big Impact, and Tomster. I am truly sorry. That has to be one of the most half-assed apologies I have ever read. I am sure Elliott did his legal minimum requirement when writing that. Still, it's gotta feel good for the players. And they say they're happy with the outcome of the case because it can stand as an example to other esports professionals who might be in similar situations. Now, if you're wondering where Blizzard was in all of this, the publisher of Heroes of the Storm and the organizer of the 2017 Heroes of the Storm Global Championship, which Naventic participated in, was apparently pretty much just completely hands-off. As far as Blizzard was concerned, apparently in regards to this situation, it was too bad, better luck next time. Still, Zuna does note that Blizzard changed some of its rules surrounding org participation after the Naventic incident.
It wasn't too much of a conversation. It was literally like just a shutdown. Like they just told us like, oh, we can't help you, and like it's a shitty situation. But like Blizzard, like at that point, it was like it wasn't like a full like Blizzard league. But after we got fucked over, they did change it a lot. Like for the next split, they had like you had to have like a LLC, and it had to be like someone part of the team. So they had like 100% of your contact, and they had it. So like they made sure after we got fucked over that you couldn't pretty much be fucked over anymore. But Like before that, they really were just like, you know, we can't really help you. They didn't give us a lawyer or anything. You know, they were just like, well, that sucks, but that's just like the risk, you know. And then next split, when they made it like the next like thing, they were like changing it so that people couldn't get screwed over nearly as easy and stuff like that, though, for sure. You know, it definitely sucks, especially at the time, because like you would think like a multi-billionaire company would be like, oh, if someone's trying to screw them over, we got their backs. But at the time, it was what it was, and it's just like I said, we were definitely naive to think that the way it is, and like all these big companies and all the stuff is like, unless you're the star of their show, they really don't care about you at all. Like, if you can even be the best player in any game, and like if you can't play anymore, and you're not like, you know, you're not going to be any part of their business, they don't care. They'll drop you instantly. So like, it's just a learning experience more than anything.
So what if you're watching this right now and you're the one in the messed up situation? You're the one not getting paid, getting gaslighted and ghosted by owners. Well, I asked the player's lawyer, Roger Quiles, what advice he has. In short, guys, talk to a lawyer. Know your options.
Would really just echo the whole, you know, talk to a lawyer about your situation. Because realistically, and especially a lawyer that's familiar with the space and how the business side of it works, because then they can help you fully assess your options, you know, give you sort of the understanding your perspective, and also saying, all right, well, this is what your contract says, this is the perspective, you know, this is what reality would look like if we were to try to pursue this, you know, these are all your alternatives. You know, it doesn't have to be a whole blow up with your org about, you know, hey, where's my money? Hey, what's going on? You know, generally there tend to be more strategic ways of, you know, having those conversations in an amicable way. And then at that point, you know, it's saying, all right, well, what are my legal rights? How can I exercise those?
I know some of you guys look at what's on the back of my shelf and point things out, like how the Game of Thrones books were in the wrong eras, but I don't know if any of you have looked in this corner before, because I am a big Godzilla fan. And we have just a few juicy Godzilla pieces right here. We got Godzilla versus Space Godzilla, who's basically fat Godzilla with crystals coming out of him. Godzilla and Mothra, battle for Earth. Godzilla versus Destroya. Godzilla, spoiler alert, dies in this one. Quote unquote dies. This one's wild. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, classic. Probably the most beloved Godzilla villain. Love the art on these old VHS tapes, man.